中島さんは今何をおっしゃいと言いますか。あなた遅いです。
The next movie is Godzilla. Having been a child and watched black and white Saturday morning movies of Godzilla, I can tell you from experience that this modern remake in color fits in with the black and white. It's sort of like a homage, because I couldn't help but feel the magnificence of these oldies from Japan and make a direct comparison to this modern version of Godzilla. This movie is so well done. The monsters in here are perfect. I mean, these actually look like two bugs, two insects, and whoever put them together knew that the male insect or the male beetle could be very dramatically different from the female beetle, because the male was half the size and had wings. The female beetle was the size of Godzilla and just had an egg sac, no wings. And they are so perfectly choreographed, and the movements are great, and the feel and the look is perfect. And Godzilla is the same way. When you see Godzilla swimming through the ocean, just incredible. And the storyline in this, it works. Everything in this works. We see the buildings being toppled over and the monsters traveling through the city, and it's just an incredible film. And fortunately it takes place in Japan and then moves onward towards the United States rather than just being an American film. The only downside was that it was mostly American characterization, where they should have used more Japanese people, more Japanese actors. They did not, and it seemed to give the impression to me that, like, the United States was running Japanese electrical companies. You get that impression. That is the only mistake made here. The movie is about animals and creatures that lived in Earth's past, developed and fed on radiation, because the Earth was highly radioactive back then. But as the radiation lowered and lowered and lowered, these animals went down to the bottom of the Earth so they could nurture on it and go into some kind of suspended hibernation. So apparently one of the Godzilla monsters had come up from the ocean and was going on to the Philippines chasing after something that they didn't know about. And this was during the 1950s, so they nuked it, or killed it, which explains the nuclear testing going on in the Pacific. This is the storyline here. And years later, after the body of this Godzilla had rotted, it had collapsed so that they could get inside the lung cavity, and they found 2 eggs, one of which had hatched. The other one was so radioactive that they shipped it to Nevada to house it in a radioactive chamber so the radiation wouldn't leak out. They didn't know what happened to the other egg that had hatched, but they did see a trail going into the ocean. So that the storyline goes that these animals need radiation, so that this one that hatched came out of the sea and formed a pupae over a nuclear reactor in Japan, where it was slowly eating the radiation from the reactor and becoming the beetle, the winged beetle, one that could fly. Now, these beetles could communicate with each other through electromagnetic radiation pulses, and Godzilla had picked up on this pulse and came to life, and since these were his enemies, they were to be destroyed. So Godzilla went after them. And that's what the movie's about. It's not that Godzilla wanted to destroy Japan or destroy the United States. He just wanted to kill these beetles who were his mortal enemies. And there's a horrific battle between Godzilla and one beetle, which couldn't take the fight and flew off. That was the male one, the smaller one, and then teamed up with the female, and they battled Godzilla in the end. Godzilla, completely exhausted after destroying these beetles, won by breathing radioactive ions into the mouth of one beetle till he cooked its head off, and that's how he killed that one. And the other one, they just got its skull smashed when a building fell on it. But then afterwards, Godzilla was completely exhausted. It gives you the impression that it died, but it didn't. And he falls down on top of the buildings and just lays there dead. He's actually resting. When he comes back to life, he goes unharmed back into the ocean. He's gone. But it's a great storyline. You will like this movie very much. It's really not something I would buy on DVD unless I was a collector of monster films or Godzilla movies. But yeah, if you're into a good science fiction horror movie and you want to see what this is all about because you've never seen Godzilla before, I mean, you could take the kids to this. They would enjoy it too. The storyline is so superb. The two scientists who are married to each other, he loses his wife and he's constantly trying to figure out what's going on with this nuclear reactor plant, trying to get inside to investigate. He eventually does in the end, just as the carapace splits open and the beetle comes out. It's a really great movie. You'll enjoy it.